going on, Geek Corner? This is your boy, Erskmac, the mad scientist, and welcome back to the Orange Phoenix Media channel, one of the hottest up-and-coming black comic book YouTube channels on this side of the Dakotaverse, and another episode of Saturday Morning Comics. Now, obviously, I'm not live, but this is a premiere, and yes, I am in the chat. I am looking at you. I am talking to you, so if you got any questions, go ahead and let me know. Go ahead and ask those sad questions, because as of right now, because this is Saturday morning, right? I am in Charlotte. I am at a convention in Charlotte. Now, I'm going to see some artists. I'm going to see Stephanie Williams out there. I'm going to see Sanford Green out there, and I'm going to have some fun. So, I mean, obviously, these weekends have been pretty busy, been pretty off and on. You know, I wasn't in the office on early Saturday mornings, but hey, we are here, man. We are here. So, even if I was live, I'm going to be talking about the same exact thing, man, because I'm putting this on the back burner for like the past couple weeks, because there was some other news that's been coming out and some other news I really wanted to cover that took precedence over this news, because this is more of a discussion type of deal in this particular episode versus informative, if that makes sense. But you already know what to do. Just like at the bottom border here, you got to hit that like and subscribe button and that notification bell. That way, when you get notified on all of our content live and recorded, you got to select all in that little menu box. Also, we have a Discord server as well. So if you want to talk anime, if you want to talk comics, if you want to talk movies or TV or pro wrestling or video games, we have channels for that in our Discord. Now, I am also excited with our Patreon. Obviously, with the magazine, we took a little bit of a hiatus, but with recorded videos such as these, they have access to these videos before it airs on YouTube. And also, there's some things that I'm really working on with the staff as far as providing more content for you guys in our Patreon. So there's two different tiers. There's a $5 tier and a $15 tier. But I understand how the economy is. So if you just want to go to our Discord server, if you just want to hit that like and subscribe button, especially that subscribe button, and check out all of our videos we put out, go ahead and subscribe to this channel, man, and you still get this content still the same. Now, Patreon do get a little bit more. Just let you know, just get a little bit more, but understand the economy. Understand how things goes around these parts, man. I hope you guys had an awesome week. I mean, obviously, this is the last week of Black History Month, but I'm here to inform you. You know, I've spoken with some of my colleagues, you know, with the coalition, and Black History Month has officially been extended for the rest of the freaking year, okay? It's been extended for the rest of the year. It's not just February for 2026. It's for the rest of the year, because some people didn't enjoy Black History Month the way we should enjoy Black History Month, man. Some people kind of had a crummy Black History Month, and obviously it seemed like there were some outside forces that just want to rain on the parade of Black History Month, and we will not allow that. We are too resilient for that. So to make this even more special of a Black History Month, we're going to extend it for the rest of the year. You hear me? We're going to extend it for the rest of the year. It's going to be a party. It's going to be a party for the rest of the year. I'm letting you know right now, man. So this week we got a jam-packed show for you guys today. I always say that. I know. I always say that. But as far as you see the thumbnail, we're going to talk about manga versus comic book sales, right? Like, because it's there have been talks, right? There have been talks, especially offline, about manga compared to comic books, and you know, some people say manga is better than comic books or whatever the case may be. I'm like, I don't know. So we're gonna talk about sales. We're gonna talk about the difference between manga and comics, especially for people that never read a manga before, or read a comic book before, or vice versa, or read both. You know what I'm saying? So definitely gonna be talking about that. Obviously, I'm gonna be talking about the indie comic of the week. Going to be talking about that as well, and also my comic book haul. So that's going to be the first thing I'm going to talk about, is my comic book haul, because this week was a very, very special week. Obviously, you know, this week was the week of my birthday. I was born February 24th, 1985. You know what I'm saying? At 6:30 p.m. Your boy graced this earth, and I got wonderful birthday gifts. But first thing I'm going to show you before these birthday gifts is, did you do your due diligence You know, we've been talking about it on the show. We talked about it last week on Saturday Morning Comics. We talked about it earlier this week. You know, when it comes to DC Comics, the new history of DC with the Dakota incident. Did you do your due diligence? Did you go to the LCS and get yourself copy or copies of the Dakota incident? Because I know I did my due diligence because, you know, look at that. Bam, right here. You know, shout out Dennis Cowan. Bam, right here. You know what I mean? Oh, by the way, I got a second variant here. You know, I got a second variant of the new history of DC. And got the A cover right here. Oh, by the way, I got a couple extras. You know what I mean? I got a couple extras. You know, shout out to my boy Brandon Hanna because he's gonna get one of these copies. And I got another copy of this. And also, here's a little bonus. Shout out to Stephanie Williams because she also had a book release, Star Trek Deviations Threads of Destiny, with Nyota Uhura on the front. Yes, and she went to the civil rights movement. This is a one-shot. So I'm going to take this book. I'm going to take this book with me to the convention, and I'm gonna get this book signed. I'm gonna get this book signed, like straight out. Now, for my birthday gifts, right? No, shout out, to my fiance Naima. Shout out to her. So not only did she give me one, but she gave me all 4 of these. I got the milestone compendiums. Finally, it was like, but damn, Erskmac, like, I thought you been had those. No, I didn't. I'm very familiar with the stories. I have read the stories. I have single issues of these stories, but as a compendium, because there's some books I don't have. I don't have Zombie, right? I do not have Shadow Cabinet. I don't have Duo. I don't have any of those things, right? But in these compendiums, I have it. So yeah, this is compendium number 2. Obviously, the Worlds Collide event is in this book right here. So definitely going to be reading that. So also, not only I got in compendium number 2, I got compendium number 3. This bad right here. Now, the good thing about this book, it tells you what's all on the back. It also gives you artwork as far as different covers and stuff like that. So, and I got to tell you my experience at the LCS, man. Shout out to Heroes and Dragons, and shout out to Scratch and Spin as well, man. And also, I got compendium number 4. Obviously, this is the latest and greatest because it's a little glossy right here. The other books aren't as glossy. This is the latest one, and you can tell the emblem has changed right here. So, volume 5 of the compendium is going to be this logo here. The other 3 have the other logo on it, but obviously you got Icon, Zombie Comics, and Static, as well as Cobalt. Cobalt is another character I did not have as far as a single issue. So yes, I got compendium 4. Compendium 5 is I want to say it comes out in June. Volume 5 is coming out in June. And yes, I will be getting Volume 5 to complete the volume set. So after this show ends, I mean, obviously I'm in Charlotte right now, and this recorded like earlier this week. But once the show ends, once I finish recording this, I'm going to go downstairs and I'm gonna just crack open compendium number 1 and go from there. And I'm gonna go from there, man. So when it comes down to this book right here, yes, if you check out the video from earlier this week, go ahead and check out that video for the New History DC Dakota incident. I did talk about this. I did talk about the importance of this book. The book is very good. And it explains how the Dakota verse is ingratiated within the DC universe. Now here's the thing. Now we still pissed off with DC, especially with this leak, like ahead of the physical release of this book. And it's almost like it was done on purpose to reduce the sales of this book. But from what I understand, this book is selling very well. Very well. Because when I went to my LCS, I went to Heroes and Dragons first. And with these 4 compendiums, I had to make space for my bookshelf. So I had a bunch of single issue comics that I really wanted to get rid of. And all those books are good. I had like some was Authority. I had some Booster Gold stuff. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and just trade these books in. So shout out to Yor, and Yor's like, man, I don't have time for like cash. I said, well, listen, if you're going to give me cash for these, all I was going to do is put cash back into the into the comic book store. So just give me the trades. So all those single issues that I showed you earlier, I got that for on the free 99 for the trade. Plus, I got an extra $80 on credit for my comic book, so I can go back. I can go back to the store and get $80 worth of comic books and out without me spending a single dime. Now, also with Heroes and Dragons, I have this card. So anytime I spend $25 or more, it'll stamp my card. If I fill that out, it takes an extra $25 off of any purchase that I have. So what I'm going to do plan-wise is I'm going to fill out that card because I only got like maybe 2 more slots left. I'm going to have $25 off plus the $80. I'm going to wait the free comic book day, and I'm going to clean up. I'm going to leave with stacks. I'm going to leave with stacks of comics, man. I like my pull list thick. So after I left Heroes and Dragons, I went over to Scratch and Spin because shout out to Scratch and Spin because Scratch and Spin definitely get those variant covers. So I got those variant covers for the Dakota Incident, and I got one on the way. The one that's on the way is the Rocket foil cover. That is on the way. They will be here next week. So I'm definitely going to be jumping into that. So really, really love this book. Covered it. I did the best. I didn't say did the best I could because I read it from cover to cover. I did the best I could not to spoil it for you. How about that? That's exactly what I did. I did the best I could not to spoil it for you guys because I want you guys to go out there and get this book. If you haven't already, right? And also shout out to these 2 comic book stores because they had stacks. They had stacks of these books, so there's plenty of books to buy. I don't know how many books are left. And even if you go to your LCS and it's sold out, you put in an order for more books, okay? It is selling well. We love to see it. Shout out to the nerd space. Shout out to the blurred space. People, not just black people, not just people of color, white people as well as going out and get this book, going out and get the Dakota Incident because they want to see more of these characters in DC. So if we actually up to 100K, that's pretty much like a red light out there saying, yo, DC, you might want to do more milestone stuff. You know, you might want to hop on that and see what kind of sales you're going to get out of that because you're definitely going to get them sales, you know, because it's been over 1,000 days since there's been a central black character in a ongoing series in DC. Because some of you might bring up Mr. Terrific Year 1. That's a limited series. We're talking ongoing series. We're talking ongoing to the levels of Batman, to the levels of Superman, because that new lineup, that next level that they're talking about, it is very white. That's all I'm saying. It's very white. And there's a lot of it, right? It's not a central black character or central Latino character or anything of that nature in an ongoing series. There is nothing like that. You're like, oh, well, what about Black Lightning? Limited series. Ongoing series. And there's a whole slew of black characters in DC, right? Even outside of Milestone, there's a slew of black characters in DC that you can make an ongoing series and people will go out and buy those books. And they need the exact type of advertisements like everything else. Like I think in the lineup for next level, there's another Batman. There's another Batman series. Like why? Why do we need another Batman series? Like we got plenty of that. We got plenty of that. We got Absolute Batman. We got the Matt Fraction's Batman. You know, so I covered a good bit of that, right? So I'm like, why do we need another Batman?
Hey, you ain't going too goddamn far now.
Easily. But anyway. So we are going to talk about our indie comic of the week, our independent comic of the week. And I had a single issue run of this book, and it's actually on Global Comics. So if you have the Global Comics app, you can go ahead and get Global Comics in the book. I am speaking of the book I am speaking of is Ain't No Grave, right? Ain't No Grave by Scotty Young and Jorge Corona. And this book is really good. This book is about a gunslinger named Ryder. And Ryder is one of the best gunslingers, if not the best gunslinger out in the West. And she was robbing stagecoaches. She was doing all kinds of crimes. And then she ran across her potential husband, or her now husband, named Darius. And her and Darius had a baby girl. And the story basically starts out with her being happy. And then she gets sick. She starts coughing up blood, and she gets this diagnosis that nobody wants. And it was said that, listen, if you get the treatment that you're supposed to get, you got another year or so left before, you go to the great beyond. And Ryder is not accepting that. She picks up her pistols, she grabs her horse, she leaves her husband and her daughter to go to this place called Cyprus. And it's at the end of the world, and her mission is to go out and kill death itself so she can maintain life with her husband and her daughter. Listen, this book is action-packed. This book is action-packed. The whole series is on Global Comics. You can actually go to your LCS and get the physical copies. The artwork is very, very good. It's from Image Comics. It's an indie comic, obviously. It's an indie comic. And if you like Westerns, if you like paranormal, supernatural things, then Ain't No Grave is definitely one of those books that you definitely need to read. Read through this book, and I'm not going to spoil it for you. The book is very, very good. Ain't No Grave. You can check it out on not DC Comics. You can check it out on Global Comics, and you can go to your nearest comic book store, and that's to get the whole entire run. You can get the whole entire run of Ain't No Grave, man. The thing is about independent comics, man, like some of the best stories are in indie comics. Some of the best stories is in indie comics. So, I can't stress enough how good this book is. This book is very good. There's even independent comic books about wrestling. And I might do that one. If y'all want to. And I think some of y'all know what I'm talking about. But yeah, that book is very good. But Ain't No Grave by Scotty Young, Jorge Corona, Global Comics. Go to your LCS and pick that book up. Now, there has been a conversation. So there's been some conversation about manga and comic books and how manga may potentially be overtaking the comic book industry and how more people are reading manga than they are comic books. I disagree with that. I feel like manga and comics is in their own lane, and they do stem off from each other. And I can tell you, when it comes down to manga, right? Whenever you get a manga, it is a central story for the most part. And more specifically, we're talking about shonen manga, because I think when people talk about manga, they talk about shonen, which is more like action-packed, more male-centric or male demographic. Like we talk about Dragon Ball Z or Full Metal Alchemist or Yu Yu Hakusho or something of that nature. That would be viewed as shonen, right? Black Clover, that'll be viewed as shonen. But still yet, though, when it comes down to manga, it is a centralized story for the most part, right? There is a villain at the end of it. There is twists and turns at the end of it. And then once you get to the end, that's it. That's it for the book. Like, altogether, that's it for the book. For the most part, Full Metal Alchemist had a beginning, middle, and the end. They had a centralized story. They had a goal. They had the villain, beat the villain, had a certain ending. Manga's over with. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, each book had its beginning, middle, and the end. It may have been a continuation of something else, but the single-minded focus when it came down to the villain on what it was going to do, there was an end to that. So, also, when it comes down to manga, if you never read a manga in your life, and I don't understand why you wouldn't, but manga is in black and white. Like, manga is in black and white. There's no colors to it. And you read it from back to front, not front to back. You read it backwards. That's basically how manga is. Now, I know I mentioned Indie Comic of the Week last week when it came out to Saturday AM and Clock Strikers. And Clock Strikers is manga inspired because it is black and white, but you can read it from front to back instead of from back to front, which honestly on the American manga side, that's what it is. But when it comes down to comic books, now when it comes down to not just Cape books, but just any comic book, it is color. It, like, the great majority of it is color, and everybody got their own distinct art style And you kind of like, especially if you like heavily vested into the comics, you know, based off the art style, who it is. You can say, oh, that's Sanford Green. Oh, that's Dennis Cowan. You know, oh, that's Jim Lee. You know, you can look in that, you know, in that continuity and be like, yo, this is who this is, right? You can say the same thing about Akira Toriyama, you know, God rest his soul. He's the artist for Dragon Ball. He's also the artist for the Dragon Quest games. Like he has a distinct style on how he draw. So I think really, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but manga, I feel like, yeah, there is a distinct art style without the color part, because there are some that have like the first couple pages in color and then they go switch over to the manga side of things. But to say that manga is better than comic books, that is a little bit of a stretch. To say comic books is better than manga, that's also a little bit of a stretch. That's also within the eye of the beholder, to be honest with you. Now, I'm more comic book centric than I am manga. However, I watch anime a good bit. Now, I've been watching it a little bit less these days because I'm a little bit more selective in the anime that I do watch. Because, you know, just growing up, you know what I'm saying? Just, you know, the premise of certain shows or whatever the case may be. I'm more drawn to anime that has like older characters, like characters that are in their 20s or in their 30s or whatever. So Kaiju number 8 kind of stands out to me because the main character is in his 30s, right? So those type of anime is the one that I kind of gravitate to the most. When it comes down to manga, I've read manga. I've read Bleach to completion. I've read Demon Slayer to completion, and I think some of the most colorful manga out there is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure have the art style, the book, and everything else in between. So, but those are the two manga that I read to completion, mainly because when it came down to Demon Slayer, like Demon Slayer had me invested so much. Like, okay, y'all were taking way too long putting out the new seasons of Demon Slayer, right? I'm gonna just go ahead and read the manga, because 9.5 times out of 10, the manga is already done before there is an anime. And that's just how it is. So same thing with Bleach. I was so invested with Bleach, I needed it to read ahead. I don't have time to wait a year. I'm impatient. I'm gonna go read ahead and just read these chapters ahead of time and see like what exactly has transpired, right? So that's the way I look at it. I couldn't wait every single, I couldn't wait like a whole year or 6 months or whatever for a new season to come out to see what exactly happens. And also, one of the things when it comes down to manga readers, and which is annoying to anime watchers, is that they know what's going to happen in the anime, and they might say something slick like in a chat or Twitter or Threads or whatever, and like, man, wait till you see XYZ happen to XYZ, and like, yo, what are you doing? And you're just making it unbearable for the watcher, because now they know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? They're like, y'all need to go read the manga. Some people don't like to read, and that I don't know why you don't like to read, but you should. That's all I'm gonna say. You should like to read. You know what I mean? Especially if you love the story that much. So that's a wild thing to say. Like, some people don't like to read, but that's factuals. Some people don't like to read. Some people don't like context. And also, oftentimes, when it comes down to manga, most times, manga goes deeper into the story than the anime itself. So right now, the ongoing series is One Piece, right? Because the anime series is still going. But it blew up so much. There's a live action. There's the anime. Obviously, there's the manga. Now, Oda is taking breaks and stuff like that. Now, when it comes down to comic books, once a story ends, another story is going to start within the same book, right? There's one-shots, which also manga has one-shots. But, comic books have one-shots, right? Comic books also have a particular story. It may be part 1 of 4 or part 1 of 5. And once that 5th part is over, it's going to jump over to another story. X-Men, prime example. You had The Brood, right? You had the Dark Phoenix saga. God Loves, Man Kills. You got the Jim Lee era. You got stuff like that. So it's like once the story ends, it just bounces off the story from before and keeps it going. The Krakoan age, And I'm just using that for an example, but it's continuing. It's gonna still go. Like, it's no way like, okay, this story is gonna end, everybody lives happy ever after, you'll never see X-Men again. It doesn't work like that. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about the actual sales of the 10 best-selling manga of 2025, and this is according to comicbook.com. So the number 10 is The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity, with 2.04 million copies sold, and it's bound to get even bigger. Now, I've never heard of this manga before, so I'm not going to claim to be an expert on this. Number 9 is My Hero Academia. That is no surprise, with 2.1 million copies sold. Now, the anime has ended, but they are still in the millions. The Apothecary Diaries, 2.25 million with number 8. And then you go to Sakamoto Days with 2.34 million copies sold. And it's like books sold worldwide. Blue Box, 2.39 million. Kingdom, 2.5 million. Blue Lock, 3.1 million. Now, Blue Lock is awesome. Now, that'll probably be the next manga I actually read. Don is 3.52 million. Jujutsu Kaisen is 3.92 million. No surprise there. And obviously, number 1, One Piece, with 4.21 million copies sold worldwide. But this right here, Jujutsu Kaisen, honestly, it's like one of the hottest anime that's out right now. It's part of the new lineup. I fully understand. So now let's get into Comics Pro. Now, according to Publishers Weekly, we're going to talk about the sales as far as comic books is concerned. So when it comes down to this, it says Joe Murray, the owner of Captain Blue Hen Comics in Newark, Dell, and the president of Comics Pro, the retail organization that puts on the conference, spoke to the industry's resilience in opening remarks. The comics industry, he said, has survived supposed extinction level events, Diamond shutting down distribution during the early days of the pandemic, which then led to Diamond's bankruptcy 5 years later, comes out stronger than ever. Sales to comic shops hits a new high in 2025 at $2.2 billion, led by an influx of new readers drawn to DC's Absolute Batman and other relaunch titles, according to the industry analyst Milton Greep. Sales in comic shops are growing even faster than in bookstores, Greep said, with direct market sales up nearly 30% last year. It says Absolute Batman's rising tide has lifted a lot of boats, according to Philip Sebick, publisher of the Ignition Press, a startup that pleased attendees with an in and out burger food truck on Wednesday night. Ignition launched a line of periodical comics last year in the middle of Diamond disruption, but has still seen sales growing on many titles, especially The Beauty, which has been adapted into a popular FX series. Now, this growing audience for comics, he said, is due to the Raina Telgemeier and Dogman generation coming into the market. Which was crazy, though. When he mentioned Dogman, so my kid used to read Dogman when he was a kid, basically. I mean, he's 13 now, but Dogman was really one of the books that he was reading. So I'm definitely getting him into, reading comic books. And I think one of the ones I'm going to actually give him, is the New History of DC Dakota Incident. So I'm going to send that by the missus. But it says that the strength of the direct market seems to be enticing book publishers to find new ways to reach comic shops. At a conference, Lunar Distribution announced that they will become a wholesale distributor for manga from Yen Press and Viz Media, distributed by Hachette Book Group and Simon & Schuster, respectively. While details were scarce, the move would make both publishers more visible to comic shop owners. And in getting front of more direct market retailers is a very good thing, according to Abrams. So he said, when we got our front list of front retailers, it made a big difference. It was a significant enough amount that our CEO, how important the comic market is. I will say this, man. One thing I have noticed, like going into comic book stores, it's not a wide selection. Let me preface this by saying it's not a wide selection. I have noticed manga in comic book stores. I've seen the whole collection of Ghost in the Shell, Wednesday when I was picking up my books. I wanted that book. I wanted that collection for Ghost in the Shell. But what I really do want, I do want the Akira series, because I do have part 1 of the Akira series, and I do want the other 2 hardback covers. But yeah, you can contribute the Absolute Universe. Like, we talked about this a few weeks ago, like the top sales of 2025 and the Absolute Universe, Absolute Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman. They've been up there, man. Like, DC conquered the top 10 most sold books or requested books. They pretty much soundly beat out Marvel. But it is what it is. So also, when you come down to Robert Kirkman, chairman of Skybound Entertainment, compared the success of Amazon Prime's adult animation adaptation of Invincible to the very successful manga to anime pipeline common in Japan in his keynote speech. While praising the splash made by updating legacy brands like Batman and Transformers, he urged retailers to support new ideas and projects. He says, "I think we could do better at nurturing the new books that today will become reliable mainstays of the future," he said. To that end, he announced his own new superhero series, Terminal, co-written with Joe Casey and art by Art Adams, David Finch, and Andy Kubert. He said this was Comic Pro's second year in Glendale, and the location near Hollywood and DC offices drew many local creators and significantly upped the star power. In addition to Kirkman, Image Comics co-founder Todd McFarlane also signed, as did actor-turned-comics writer David Desmachian. DC publisher Jim Lee and legendary artist Frank Miller and Klaus Janson stopped by to kick off a year of celebrating the 40th anniversary of The Dark Knight Returns and Miller's seminal take on Batman that has influenced movies and comics alone. So think about this. The impact of comic books. Look at The Boys, right? The Boys and Gen V is two of the most successful series on Amazon Prime. People tune into Amazon Prime to watch The Boys. People tune into Amazon Prime to watch Gen V. Little did those people knew that this came from a comic book. Like, this came from a graphic novel series of the same name. So that kind of makes you think, like, yo, I'm going to read this book. And then you jump into Invincible. And then you got Invincible, which everybody's gravitating to, right? Yes, it's an animated series. Ain't for kids. Definitely telling you that. Not for kids. But little did they know, oh, this is a comic book. I can go read the compendiums. I can just catch up and see what exactly going on. And also, obviously, there's a Battle Beast series and stuff like that. So, and then, like I was saying earlier, when it came down to The Beauty, like The Beauty is an FX series. Now, I haven't had the pleasure of reading The Beauty yet on Ignition Press, but Ignition Press definitely has some good books. Mad Cave definitely has some good books. Oni Press definitely has some good books outside of Marvel and DC. So, and if you really think about it, it's very similar to the level of marketing that manga has, because the process of manga, especially the 90s and going into the 2000s, was a difficult process. Like, you do have that one shot of your book, and if it gets a lot of attention, then your book can get serialized, your story can get serialized. But you got to maintain that presence, you got to maintain that level of popularity, because if there's any significant drop with your chapters or with your book, whenever Shonen Jump comes out, your stuff get canned, your stuff get canceled. As many times that we've seen manga that some of us were interested in, and it gets canceled all of a sudden, and we're pissed off and upset, like, yo, why did you cancel this book? And the reason they cancel is because not everybody else is reading it. Like, that's it. I mean, the same rule applies to like comic books in a way, but when I look at like manga, especially like I said, in the 90s and the 2000s, it's a very stressful thing. It is a very stressful thing. I put out an anime that actually highlights that, and that anime is called Bakuman. There's a manga called Bakuman, which is ironic because it's a manga about creating manga and the stress levels of creating manga and getting it serialized. Now, I don't think it's like that now. I think it's a little bit, I wouldn't say easier, but a little less stressful now. But getting your stuff serialized, meeting those deadlines every single week, or, however your book comes out, and also maintaining a popularity presence. And I have a book from Hirohiko Araki about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, like why he pivoted from Hamon to Stans. You know, why did he pivot to this particular thing? Because how I started out, the abilities were Hamon. It wasn't. I would say in comics or in anime, it's some of the most balanced move sets or power scaling you can see. Also, Nin. I use Nin as definitely one of the top ones as far as balance and power scaling and stuff like that. But when it comes to manga, yeah, it becomes serialized. It becomes extraordinarily popular. Guess what? It's gonna become an anime. Blue Lock is that. Jujutsu Kaisen is that. Dragon Ball is that. One Piece is that. Attack on Titan is that. Demon Slayer is like that. So Apothecary Diaries, that's another one that's just like that. I know when I said about the top 10, Kingdom is ongoing. Kingdom is ongoing. So 9 times 10, if you see an anime, there's a manga behind it that is already finished or about to finish. And I notice these days, especially with the technology that we have in the movie industry, especially in the American side on movie industry, we can see series. I mentioned The Beauty, I mentioned The Boys, Gen V, I mentioned Invincible. Like all these came from independent comics. It's not just DC and Marvel. It's independent comics that are getting a television series or a movie adaptation. And when you tell them, oh, now that's from a comic book, and they say, oh, word? Like, I'm shocked. I'm shocked. So I don't think manga beats out comics or comics beats out manga. It's really about preference, honestly. Yes, I'm more of a comic book reader than I am a manga reader. But if it is a good manga that I want to read, then yeah, I'm going to read that to a point. But there's a difference between the two. You know, manga is more centralized. It's going to give you that beginning, middle, and end. Depending on the writer, depending on the author, it will take you on a journey to get to that point, but you're going to get to that point eventually. You know, the longest journey is obviously One Piece. And then once you reach that end, it's curtains. It's the curtain call. It's a wrap. Not going to get that with comics. You're going to get that. If it's a limited run series, like I mentioned, my indie comic of the week is Ain't No Grave. You could say that that's manga formatted, without it being manga formatted. It's a limited series. You're going to have a beginning, middle, and an end. But comic books these days, they have stories. They got twists. They got turns. And especially ongoing series. Spawn. Spawn has yet to have a reboot. I feel like it needs one. You know what I'm saying? But it has yet to get a reboot, man. I mean, I want to say it's in 300 plus issues of Spawn that's out there, man. Now, to be honest with you, I don't know who's reading Spawn these days. With Al Simmons, I do not know. And that's no slight. I do not know, because there's Scorched, right? There's that out there. There's Gunslinger Spawn out there. So, but I know Stephanie Williams is writing one. I know Stephanie really writing one of those Spawn comics, and your boy is going to buy it. But still yet, though, that's probably the longest running ongoing series without a reboot. Like, it's no brand new issue number 1 of Spawn. It's none of that. But I will tell you this, though. If it ever was to be a brand spanking new reboot of Spawn, Al Simmons Spawn, it will sell like hotcakes. I'm going to tell you, I feel like it will sell like hotcakes. I'm telling you. Because, you know, a fresh coat of paint never hurt anybody. I mean, it's been the same, right? I mean, Todd McFarlane is synonymous with Spawn because that's his character, you know? Todd McFarlane has been with part of Marvel. And I do have the Todd McFarlane run of Spider-Man. And it came down to his artwork and how gritty it was and how, you know, he was well swinging in the city. Never seen that before, right? And probably never be duplicated ever again. But it is what it is. So let me see if I can find some. Manga out artwork here. And see, manga has its own distinct art style as well. Like, I mean, you know, even if it's in black and white, it's gonna show what you could do without color. You definitely can show what you could do without color. And it is very, very expressive. Very, very expressive. Okay, there we go. Put that up there for you. Yeah, so it's very expressive here. So this is black and white. Black and white. But you could tell with this. So it's very expressive. The artwork is there. Just because it's not in color does not mean it's not going to come out at you at the pages. Like, this is Dragon Ball. This is Dragon Ball, man. Like, very, very expressive. Naruto. Same way. Hunter. Some of the best details out here. And I do have a manga for you. I do have a manga. So, hold on just one second. This is one right here. Air Gear. The Omnibus. See, I even have it as an omnibus, right? So this is volume 1 of the omnibus. And you can look at this artwork, man. Now, for me personally, my goal is to have all of Air Gear. I want to have all of Air Gear. It's like one of my favorite stories when it comes down to anime. And it is criminal. It is very criminal that Air Gear ended and we did not get a true ending for Air Gear. We did get an ending in the manga, yes, but we did not get an ending in the anime. And the anime was very, very good. Anime is very, very good. It's not on Crunchyroll, so you're gonna have to look. I mean, you can get the DVDs on Amazon. You can definitely get the DVDs and Blu-rays on Amazon. So I'll probably just do that and just keep it like that. But I'm gonna get all of the volumes of Air Gear. That's if I collect any manga, it's definitely gonna be Saturday AM stuff, and it's definitely gonna be Air Gear, because very, very, very good book. Very, very, very good book. If you're not familiar with Air Gear, it's basically about Iki Maname. He's the main character of the story, and you think it's just about rollerblades, but these rollerblades are motorized, so they can actually automatically go when you press forward. You don't have to kick out and do it. But there's different like skater groups. They're different skater groups, and if you get a regalia gives you certain abilities within your air tracks or your ATs, which is the automatic rollerblades. And you might summon flame, you might summon lightning, you might summon wind, you might summon the elements or whatever. So it's pretty violent. I think some people actually got paralyzed. You know what I'm saying? Some people actually got paralyzed. There's some stakes involved. Okay, there's some stakes involved with Air Gear, and it's very good story. Very, very good story. You got tuners, and obviously you have certain legendary like skater groups, and they try to reach the top of Tripium and be the king, and aim to be the Sky King. So you definitely want to check that out. So now I want you guys to hit that like and subscribe button and that notification bell, and hit that drop down menu. That way you can select all. That way you can, you get notified on all of our content live or recorded. Now, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to cover next week. Now, what I'm going to cover next week, I will be talking about Star Trek Deviations Threads of Destiny by Stephanie Williams. I will be talking about that. And I also will be talking about some of the stuff I've been missing. Obviously, I will be talking about Uncanny X-Men. We'll be talking about Cyclops. And I will be back for Saturday morning comics. Okay, I will be back for Saturday morning comics. Now, if you excuse me, I gotta go to tend to my duties. I gotta read some milestone compendiums. Okay, I got some compendiums to read. I got some stories to catch up on, man. So, hope you guys stay safe this weekend. So, until next time, y'all. Peace.